Woo! The Golden Stallion, the Man of Tomorrow, Savzu, the Rated R radio star, once again in a car. And we've got a little car cast, of course, being joined by the boss, the lovely and hyper-intelligent Dr. Stephanie Murphy. Woo!
In the driver's seat.
In the driver's seat.
This isn't a car. This is a starship.
That's right. That's right. This is the Galileo.
We are blasting off towards great beyond.
That's right.
Here.
So here for a little Relationship Rhombus Show. And, of course, it's our May edition of the Relationship Rhombus Show. This is definitely one of the most popular things that we do on Patreon. If you hear noises, this is all live to tape. You're literally hearing this in a car. And we've had
a starship.
A starship, right? We're hearing it in a starship. So I was about to say, in the past, we've had where like snow chunks have just suddenly whacked like the windshield, and you heard it and everything. But actually, that wasn't a snow chunk. It was part of it was part of a comet.
It was an
asteroid. Yeah. But anyway, yes, here we are aboard our starship. Speaking of starships, Stephanie, I got to ask you, before we start getting into all these questions and everything, how are you enjoying, because as this is getting recorded, the latest issue of the Sovryn Tech newsletter came out, and that has the latest adventures of what is going to be this summer, the Star Trek Forbidden Frontiers erotic audio theater that I will be releasing. And what did you think? I've been doing short stories in the newsletter. Some erotica, a little short fiction at the end of it, which I've been doing in the newsletter since I started it. But the past 3 issues have actually been with the characters that are going to be a part of the Star Trek Forbidden Frontiers erotic audio theater. I mean, what did you think of the latest story there?
Well, I'll tell you, it was so good that it inspired me to want to turn it into an audiobook. So you know how much I like those stories.
Yeah. No, I know you loved it. I can't wait to hear the response from people.
I loved this volume 2 especially much because I don't know, I just thought it was really well done. It was pretty gay. There was like bondage and tentacles, but they weren't overstated. They were like, subdued, and I thought it was really well done, and I thought the characters were great. I thought the writing was good. It just worked. It worked really well. I can't wait to turn it into an audiobook.
Well, I'm honored by that, and I'm still deciding like which one we're going to do first, as far as like what short fiction we're going to turn into audiobooks, or turn into audio. Well, it's not going to be audio theater. It's going to be audiobooks, because there won't be a ton of special effects, at least not a ton. But I might start off with the Forbidden Frontiers just to get people's appetites whetted, as it were. But the hard part is I don't want to get into a huge subject or conversation around this, but I don't know where to release that exactly, because
Patreon, and that's the thing. You should start with the Star Trek ones, because those you cannot release on Audible.com.
No, right.
So we practice with the ones that are unreleasable on Audible. And then once we get good at making those erotic audiobooks, then we release the better ones on audio.
Yeah,
on Audible.
Well, my concern is, and we'll talk about this quick, we've got some great relationship questions to get into, and we'll get to those in just a second. My concerns around it are that, Star Trek is not my property. As to where the Sovereign Universe, I'll do whatever the hell I want with it. And so to put it on Patreon, the problem with that is I'm making money off of Star Trek.
Okay, so what defines making money, though? Like, if you put it out for free on your public feed, are you still making money off of it in a nebulous way?
Well, that's another thing. If I put it on a public feed, then not a huge deal, but the Patreon feed's not a public feed. You have to pay for that. Do you get what I'm saying?
Okay, right, but what if you put those on your public feed?
Well, that might be where I'll go. The only problem with that is, and this is something I have to figure out with the entire erotic audio theater episode itself, is that I'm worried, because Paramount and CBS are assholes. They've proven that with what they've done with other fan works, at least fan video works. And I would be a little concerned that they'd try and take down the entire Sovryn Tech feed if I just put it in the Sovryn Tech feed. But that's the most logical place for it to go. I just don't know. Well, we'll see. I'm still thinking about that. I mean, you could
create a separate feed. You could just say, like, this is a Sovryn Tech podcast, but it's a separate podcast feed in case this gets taken down. Yeah, I mean, the 2 ideas I have right now, one is that with with our NAS, we can make podcast feeds that people can access.
So I'm tempted to do that. Or the other thing I could do is I could just put them up on MediaFire and link to it from like a Patreon post. You know what I mean? And then people could download it. But then it's not in their actual, it's not like it's as easily accessible as being in their podcast feed. So I don't know. But anyway, I'll figure all of that out. But I'm excited to do this, and we've already got some great stuff planned for the adventures of Lieutenant Talana, Commander Varish Jen, and Captain Damian Ivanov. It's going to be a great time. So anyway, all right, why don't we get into some of these relationship questions, shall we?
Sure.
And the first one here is a little unconventional. Unconventional as in relating to the Relationship Rhombus Show, but I think it's actually a fit. And because it does have to do with sex, so I think it fits in perfectly. But let's read it here. And for those, if you want to get in your questions for future Relationship Rhombus shows, I make a post generally within the first few days of the month, of every new month on Patreon, where I will say, get in your questions, and you can ask the questions right underneath that post. You can just comment on that post and get in your questions, or you can send them to me to my email address, bbs@sovryntech.com, or you can private message them to me on Patreon, which is another popular way that people send me questions. But anyway, let's read it here. Not sure, this is the question, not sure if this is appropriate for the Relationship Rhombus Show or not. It's kind of professional relationship related, maybe, but I would like your opinion on it. I'm curious about your thoughts on this article and massage happy endings. So happy endings during massages in a professional setting in general. So real quick, I'm going to read you the title of the article, and then I'll read the rest of the question. Happy endings are, this is from Boing Boing, the article is, happy endings are not a part of massage therapy, no matter what the Montreal police might think. So let me read the rest from...
What do the Montreal police think? They obviously disagree.
Yeah, we'll get into that in just a second. I'll read the rest from the question asker. I graduated from Central Mass School of Massage and Therapy 15 years ago and have never worked as a massage therapist for various reasons, fears of sexual harassment being one of them. When I was in school, I joined some online massage therapist forums and was shocked by how many massage therapists considered giving their clients hand jobs a form of, quote, relieving stress, end quote, and not sexual. It always seemed very unprofessional
that's
to
one
me.
way to look at it.
Yeah. It always seemed very unprofessional to me for a massage therapist to touch their clients' genitals. So,
yeah, I agree with you. It is unprofessional.
Sure. I want to read the article, and then I want to get into that.
Okay. Yeah, let's read the article.
Baseline, I agree with you, what you're saying. So, here's the article from Boing Boing. Again, happy endings are not a part of massage therapy, no matter what the Montreal police might think. Claudia Cavalier had only been working as a massage therapist in Montreal, Canada for a few months when, as she began to work the nuts out of a middle-aged client's leg, he started grinding against her massage table just before flipping over to bring himself off.
Oh.
The whole time that he masturbated, he didn't say a damn word, other than asking Cavalier for a tissue to clean himself up with. Horrified, she backed out of the room that she had been alone with her client and asked a coworker for assistance. Her coworker got Cavalier to safety and demanded that her piece of shit client leave. The incident shook Cavalier deeply. No jokes about being Cavalier about it, folks. After she collected herself...
her name is Cavalier.
Cavalier? Really?
I mean, she's from Montreal, right?
Oh,
so
Cavalier.
French,
all right, I'll say
right?
Cavalier then. That's better. After she collected herself, she was brave enough to report the incident to the police. When she told the duty officer at the Kirkland detachment of the Montreal Police Service her story, he didn't respond in the way that you'd like to hope that those we charge with protecting us would. Instead of offering a modicum of sympathy, he attempted to dissuade her from filing a complaint, saying, according to Cavalier, quote, well, you have to get ready to appear in court. Do you really want to do that? End quote. At this point, Cavalier decided it might be a good idea to record the rest of their chat. As the conversation between Cavalier and the cop progressed, it was discovered that their client had provided her with a fake name and phone number. The duty officer that she spoke to told her that it was unlikely that a case would be pursued given these circumstances, and even if it did, it would not be classified as a sexual assault. Any conviction, he explained, would not result in a harsh punishment. Just when you think it can't get any worse, it totally does. This is from the CBC. He tells her that her spa, which also offers services such as manicures and waxing, is located on a stretch of road where, quote, there's a lot of happy endings, end quote. Quote, there's a lot of weirdos out there, end quote, the officer tells her. Quote, I'm saying be prepared to have weirdos. You will have weirdos. That's the nature of the business, end quote.
Oh my God.
Quote, unfortunately, that's what happens. I just don't want you to get emotional because you have weirdos out there, end quote, he says. Emotional. Cavalier left the station with the form on which to write her statement, but the incident left her questioning whether her concerns were valid and if she should bother going through with her complaint. Quote, there was a part of me that said, no, I shouldn't go back. What's the point of going back? They're never going to catch this guy. I should just try to forget it, end quote. After speaking with her employer, Cavalier opted to return to the police station and file a report. Fortunately, when she did, a police officer that understands that he's there to serve the public was on duty. Cavalier told the CBC that he was attentive, sympathetic, and took her concerns seriously. For its part, the Montreal police weren't willing to make a statement on the incident. One of their inspectors went on the record about what happened to Cavalier, but go on, read it. It's the bureaucratic equivalent of a shrug. Quote, it's not a lack of training. Sometimes we have a police officer that needs some discipline or who just lost it on that day. We are police officers and we make mistakes. When we hear things like that, we do not try to cover it up. We don't try to say it is correct. This is completely wrong, end quote. The inspector told the CBC that he hoped that Cavalier would make a complaint to the Police Ethics Commission. She totally should. Oversight is exactly what an incident like this requires. Unfortunately, a significant amount of damage has been done. The trust that a young woman once had in her local police has been shaken. The lack of response and unwillingness to investigate in the face of scathing allegations against one of its officers by the Montreal Police Service further tarnishes the reputation of a department that, in recent years, has been embarrassed by a number of scandals. Finally, the inspector who commented on the sounds like his last shit was given to the protection of his pension, which he hopes hypertension will allow him to live long enough to enjoy. There's only one happy ending in this whole rotten story, and the fella that had it deserves a punch in the throat.
Wow.
So, well, aside from the appeals to violence, I have a couple quick thoughts, on this whole story.
Okay.
One of them is, don't have any confidence in the police, okay?
Yeah, when it said, she had her trust in the police shattered, I feel like everyone has a moment like that where they realize that, hey, the illusions that you were taught about the cops in school, about them being there to protect and serve you, you realize that, they have other incentives that pull them away from that, and that, it's good cops tend to get pushed out and bad ones tend to rise through the ranks, and it's not just a few bad apples, it's rotten to the core in a lot of police departments, and they definitely, this is a notorious thing where police do not take seriously complaints of sexual assault, rape, especially against sex workers. They believe rape myths that say that sex workers can't possibly be raped,
Yeah.
But in this case, she wasn't even a sex worker. She's a massage therapist. The cop assumed she was a sex worker because she works at a place that has Jack Shacks on the same strip. What?
Well, I think there are a lot of people that have this popular notion that massage parlors are inherently sexual. That, especially amongst Christians, that is wildly popular, that they think that way. And in Europe, it's also not uncommon. I'll bring those 2 points up. Granted, this isn't Europe.
In the U.S., it's not uncommon. In Canada, it's not uncommon either. But, even that term, massage parlors, not every place where you can get a massage is a, quote, massage parlor,
No, right.
There are many, I would say the majority of massage therapists out there are acting with complete professionalism and trying to, keep the reputation of their keep their professional ethics intact and not do anything sexual with their clients. They're there to massage your muscles, not to massage your dick.
Yeah.
And when they're trying to do that, it's made really hard by, incidents like this, where in this case the client assaulted the massage therapist because he assumed that, sexual services were part of what was being offered when they weren't. But there's been other cases. There was a massage chain in the U.S. which had millions of customers, $1 billion business, where massage therapists who worked there, male massage therapists, were assaulting female clients repeatedly. And when the female clients reported it, their concerns were not taken seriously by the company, and the company kind of brushed it under the rug. That was their policy. So it is a real problem. I mean, obviously, it's hard to make people feel comfortable who just want a massage, non-sexual, who just want a genuine massage. That's all it is. It's hard to make them feel comfortable when there's stuff going on within the profession like that, where people are getting sexually assaulted, and the watchdogs who are supposed to protect against sexual assault are not taking it seriously, whether that be the police or the corporate chains or the co-workers or whatever.
Well, I want to bring up my second point.
Or the professional certifying body or whatever.
Yes, right. So I want to bring up my second point, which is, wait a minute, I thought that Canada had like a zero tolerance for anything remotely like sexual abuse. I mean, isn't that what Jordan Peterson says? Is that like...
Yeah, right. It's interesting. Don't they throw people in jail if you misgender someone?
Yeah.
Well, no, they don't.
Apparently not.
That's not part of that law.
Yeah. Apparently the cops are just as ridiculous there as they are here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, police are a very conservative, status quo, patriarchal institution.
Sure.
And it's a real problem, even in so-called progressive countries like the UK and like Canada. Complaints of sexual assault and rape are not taken seriously. Rape myths are the
Hold on. I thought Canada was like socialist paradise, and, women are always right there. And just the drop of the hat of a claim of sexual harassment or assault, instantly will get somebody thrown in jail. Like I'm 100% sure that this is what I'm told by everybody else in America.
Well, not quite. Obviously. And actually, Canada has some very strange laws about sex work, in fact.
Yeah.
It's not illegal to do sex work, as I understand it, and don't quote me on this because I'm going off the top of my head, but as I understand it, it's not illegal to do sex work in Canada, but everything else around that is illegal. For example, it is illegal to advertise that you're available for sex work. It is illegal to rent a building or own a building where sex work occurs for the purposes of conducting a sex work business there.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting some peeps. Anyway, I'm under the... So, like, gentlemen's clubs, which is what they call strip clubs in Canada, are honestly, like, far more upscale, far less seedy situations than a lot of what you experience throughout the bulk of the United States. It is a funny place where, I mean, I think the whole world, honestly, there is no place that gets it right. The whole planet has double standards and some very odd, like some positives and then some very odd negatives towards sexuality in general and sex work. That's a part of that. Canada, no exception, certainly. So where there are some in some ways they're very healthy about it, but then in other ways it's like, whoa, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like, what is this? So, but I guess to get back on the track of, I mean, I think you've kind of said how you felt about that article in general, but if you have more comments, go ahead and make those. Otherwise, we can get into, like, the broader abstract.
Let's talk about the question that the person asked. So she said that she hasn't, I assume it's a she.
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but...
No, we'll give that much info. Yeah.
Okay.
Even though any patron can see who asked it. But anyway, go ahead.
So she she said that she hasn't worked as a massage therapist, even though she's trained as one.
For 15 years?
Because of fears of sexual harassment. And she was shocked at how many massage therapists within the profession were like, oh yeah, it's totally okay to give hand jobs to your clients. That's just relieving stress. Well, I agree with the question asker. I think that is a red flag. That is not professional. That is not part of the professional code of ethics. In fact, explicitly in massage therapy certifying agencies and boards and bodies, and in every massage therapist professional code of ethics, there are strict boundaries that are supposed to occur with draping, with touching, not touching certain parts, being off limits. Usually it's anything that's covered by a bathing suit. It's off limits, and that's part of the professional code of ethics that they uphold in order to ensure the integrity of the profession and to make people, clients and workers alike, massage therapists, feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, when people start blurring those boundaries, of course that's a problem, and of course it's a profession that, maybe is, not somewhere where it's safe to work.
Yeah.
And who to blame for that? I don't know. I mean, I guess...
Well, I could put out some ideas.
Well, I mean, the men are to blame, obviously. The men who expect hand jobs and who, don't know the difference between a hand job and a massage, and the men who assault, their clients. I mean, that is who is doing the assaulting, right? Like, anyone can pretty much be a victim of assault, but it's men who are the perpetrators. And so let's get real, like, that's who's doing it. So that's who I would point the finger at. But I mean, it's too bad, because massage is such a wonderful healing thing, and it does require trust in order for you to, pay someone and let someone touch you and feel confident that they're not going to hurt you or touch you in a way that you don't want to be touched. And so, and most of the, I get massages. When I go to massage therapists, they are so careful to establish trust early on and good communication. They'll say right off the bat, tell me if you don't like what I'm doing. Tell me, how does this feel? They communicate during the whole massage. They ask if they're not sure about something. Is it okay to touch this part? Is it okay to massage this? Is the pressure okay? Is it okay to turn over? They communicate during the whole thing. And that's part of establishing that trust that they're not going to do anything that hurts you. And, I mean, I guess you could argue for some people they wouldn't feel hurt if they got a hand job, but some people would feel hurt by that, but from a massage therapist that they weren't expecting that from. So, I don't know. I think our society is so fucked up about touch in general that it's easy for these lines to get blurred, and people want them to get blurred because there are so few outlets for healthy, non-sexual touching that is genuinely non-sexual, that people confuse sex and touch. Like, the boundaries are blurred in people's minds. And touch is something that everyone needs.
Yeah.
And you could argue sex is something that most people need, except, I guess, if you're really asexual, and people need varying degrees of it. But touch is like a human thing, and I think we're so deprived of touch and starved of touch. Massage is one healthy outlet for getting touch if you don't have other people in your life who will provide you with that touch, or animals or whatever. But it's a problem when it's associated with a sexual touch, when that isn't what everybody needs or wants from it.
Yeah. Civilization has very weird notions around touch. I mean, this is why I'm very supportive of the cuddling movement and things like that, because...
Well, that's another one that gets blurred.
Well, right.
It's a nice idea, but people mix it in with the sexual touch.
Yes, people fuck it up, and that sucks, because I think touch is so important. Two of the biggest problems in the world, I say this all the time, two of the biggest problems in the world, one is that people don't tell each other how they really feel. The other is there's not enough touch in the world, But I understand why, a lot of people don't want to just get touch, and touchy, because people misconstrue it. you know, and next thing you know, a guy's flipping around, you know, and starts jerking off or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, though, so...
Groping you.
Yeah, right, exactly. And so that's a problem. Now, I mean, things like that can kind of be solved with communication, and that kind of points at what I think is one of the very real problems here. Okay, I get your point, I really do. Like myself, I don't like massages. Okay, unless it's like with somebody that I love. You know, I don't like going to a public place or whatever for a massage. I've been all around the world, and it just gets fucking confusing as far as what is actually offered and what is going to go down. Okay, and...
Is that why you don't like massages?
It's part of the reason.
Because it's not clear what's being offered?
It's part of the reason that it's, you know, because, I mean, then they you know, someone, you know, you're in Japan and suddenly they're offering it, and it's like, whoa, you know, like, I mean, or there's even like a set expectation of that. And here's the thing, is that where I think one of the real problems is that you have so much dumbass regulation, okay, around sex work, or what could even be construed as sex work, that it doesn't allow you to put up a very simple sign that says happy endings are allowed here, or happy endings are provided here. You know, you pay such and so much, and that's what you'll get.
I agree.
If you put that in place, I think the problem goes away, or at least in some ways. I mean, there's still people who are going to cross the line, you know, who are going to go to a place where it's not explicit, and they'll probably still try for it, right?
Well, for some people, that's their fetish.
Right,
that's,
exactly.
You know, that's a problem, too.
Yeah.
Because they're pulling the massage therapist non-consensually into their kink.
Yeah. But a huge way to solve this, including with this specific story, with this police officer, it says, look, no, we have it on our sign. No happy endings. You know what I mean? And then, you know, there you go. Like the guy, you know, whatever, breached contract or something. Not that I want to get into contracts. Okay, but you get my point.
Contract.
Is that in our conventional world, he would have some kind of or there'd be some kind of liability. There'd be some kind of action that could be taken.
Right.
So, but that's a major part of it, is that regulations against sex work end up hurting people who aren't even technically in sex work.
Yeah.
You know, and that just goes to show like the bullshit that are laws, because they always have unintended consequences.
Yeah.
This being one of them.
That's a really good point, and I agree with you. I think that if it was legal and culturally not stigmatized, to just put up a sign that says happy endings, $25.
Right.
Or no happy endings here, go down the street to Jill's Jack Shack or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You know? I mean, at the very least...
That would take care of 90% of the creeps.
Precisely. Yeah. I mean, you're always going to have that, you know, however many percentage of people that just aren't going to care.
Yeah.
You know, but at the very least, things become explicit. And I think, honestly, it'd be better for your business, because then I would be a little more... I mean, look, not that I'm uncomfortable with suddenly getting a happy ending or something. Like, I'm not that kind of guy. But it's just incredibly confusing. It creates a lot of these fetishes, and it creates a lot of... I mean, like, it's so fucked up. You should be able to be perfectly clear. You should be able to put that right on your door, you know, and say it. But you can't, because even if you hint at it, suddenly, you know, you're on the government watch list of, oh, this place could be a sex shop, you know, and you don't even know. And yeah, so that's my opinion on the matter. But in general, no, there's absolutely no reason. Your baseline should be, when I'm going to get a massage, this is not sexual.
Yeah, it's a professional massage.
Right. Now, if it's a place that could openly say, we will offer it, well, then that's a different story. They're making it clear. They're offering it. There's no question.
But, I mean, that would be professional, too.
Yeah, sure.
Part of professionalism is being very clear and explicit and upfront about what exactly is being offered, how much it costs, what you will receive, and what you can expect.
Yeah, exactly. Professionalism is a consistent experience and performance across customers. Yeah. That's professionalism. And so, yeah, I mean, but that's the only way you can do that, is if... I mean, it doesn't have to be like some kind of legally binding contract, but as long as you can say what you're actually fucking offering, you know, and you can't today, and it's all because of government. So that's where my finger wants to point very much in that direction.
Yeah.
But
now, you know, just as an aside, I guess related to this question, I've been interested in learning massage like going to massage school or something
Sure.
like that.
Sure.
I haven't really taken any serious action on it. I think I want to do yoga teacher certification first. But I know yoga and massage are something that a lot of people learn in tandem and go together. They're kind of like healing arts. And so, I mean, I'm interested in what this person said, that they went to massage school, but they never actually ended up practicing it. I just think it would be really interesting to learn from like an anatomical perspective and
Sure.
just for my own information. But it's kind of discouraging to know that, yeah, the profession is kind of rife with people who are not taking that professional code of ethics very seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, yeah, and I'm sure that the woman that sent in the question, can easily reach out to you to let you know.
Cool.
But yeah, so anything else you want to cover on that?
Did we answer the question?
Oh, well, let's see.
Let's just check and give ourselves a little feedback.
Yeah, it always seemed very, well, I mean, pretty much they were asking what did we think of that story,
Yeah, okay.
which we got into
that.
that.
I think we gave our
and we agree with her,
Yeah.
on the baseline, yes,
Totally
that's
agree.
unprofessional.
Totally agree.
Yeah, unless, you're making it abundantly clear that happy endings are done here, yes, it's absolutely unprofessional. So, and that's just disgusting for that guy to do that. Like, what in the goddamn hell?
That's so fucked up.
And there's, again, and even that, what that guy did, I think, comes out from very unhealthy attitudes about and lack of understanding about sexuality, and lack of education and everything else about sexuality that also, honestly, in many ways stems from both laws as
And
well
culture.
as cultural conservatism and things like that.
Now,
So-
I will say, I've had a lot of massages. I've never had somebody sexually assault me, thank goodness. I have had massages done by men a couple of times, and everything was fine. It wasn't, it didn't make me uncomfortable. However, if I have a choice, I will always pretty much choose a woman.
Sure.
As a massage therapist.
Absolutely. So...
And I don't turn over and, like, show my puss to her and, hey, here you go.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. I mean, I'll add on quick. I mean, just because of the inconsistent experience I've had with, massages that's not the real reason why I don't really care for massage. I don't care for massage. I don't know. There's other ways that I like to relieve pain and, and stuff like that. And that's just not one of them. It's just never really been my thing. I'm not against it. I think it's wonderful. I think it's a beautiful action. And I don't mind it in certain circumstances, but anyway, that's just me.
What are some ways of getting your needs for non-sexual touch met if you are single, live alone, don't have any pets, don't have any children, whatever? What are some healthy ways to get your human need for touch met?
If you're single?
Yeah, and in a non-sexual way.
Aside from massage?
Yeah.
I think like the cuddle parties are, I mean, you have chapters of those all around the world now.
Yeah, if you can find one that's really sticking to the script.
Yeah, but I mean, there's ones out there that are genuine successes that I think that do very well.
Yeah, they have professional cuddlers now.
Yep.
Although I don't know about them. Are they just sex workers who can't advertise the fact that they're sex workers? Some of them probably are.
That comes down to the regulations again, is that they can't really say, because even denying it is raising a red flag to the authorities.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have that, but yeah, you have people who, professional cuddlers, effectively.
Yeah. I think going swimming or going in a hot springs or a hot tub is another good way to get your touch needs kind of met. It feels good. It feels really good to have warm water like all over you. Taking a bath,
Yeah, a different set of sensations encompassing the body. I could see that. There's a lot of
these brushes. You could do dry brushing.
Yes.
So some people dry brushing is you take this boar bristle brush and you basically brush your own skin with it in a way, and it stimulates the flow of the lymphatic system.
Right.
But it also feels really good. It just kind of tickles your skin, like it stimulates your skin, and it feels really good. So that's another way to get some touch in.
Sure. Yeah. No. I think that's great. I mean, honestly, like, if you, I don't even want to say this because I do want to say it, but people are going to take it in the wrong way. You really can touch yourself. Like, I mean, you genuinely can. Like, you can.
Yes, I know what you're saying.
Light fingertip on your forearm and, or other parts of your body. Like, that can be, massage in itself.
You can massage yourself.
Yeah.
You can use they have, like, therapy balls where you can massage almost any muscle.
Get those
with
foam
just
rollers
gravity
and
pressure.
shit. Yeah.
Foam rollers. Yep. They have, there's something called a Theracane, which is like, it looks like a giant candy cane. It allows you to massage your own back.
Yeah.
With like a hard kind of nub at the end of this candy cane that you can reach around your back. I know it sounds very sexual, what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's totally
but it's not. It's not at all. It doesn't look sexual. There's nothing sexy about it.
No.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I mean, if you want sexual touch, like, there's always masturbation. Go for it. You know?
Yeah. So, anyway, I think that's all great to bring up.
Yeah.
Let's move on to our other question here.
Okay.
So, in this one's going to go kind of in a I mean, that last one was very serious. This is definitely a serious one, but we'll end it off with something. We'll have a third question we'll get to that'll be more fun, I think.
Okay.
So, even though I think the person is also serious, but it's a lighter subject. So anyway, let's bring it up here. And this is coming from a guy. So this is from the guy. I have several mental health issues. I've always internalized and worked on it. When I had to get help, I went to professionals. My wife has become clinically depressed. She was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder in 1999. He says I had to look that up. It's not like it sounds. She isn't getting professional help, and I'm not sure how to deal with it. For the longest time, we had someone living with us, rotating family or friends, like as in they had rotating family or friends living with them. Eventually, she'd have an extended episode and drive one of them away. I'd actively look for another to come, but before it was directed at me. I know this was cowardly. She has great traits. This gets to be, I'm adding in but this gets to be too much to deal with at times. So avoiding it for 20 years has led me to where I have to do something, and I'm not sure where to start.
Oh boy. Okay,
yeah.
So his wife has some mental issues. So does he.
Yeah. So first off, very sorry for both of you having to go through these things.
Yeah.
Throughout your life.
And by the way, like, let's just get this out of the way. Most people have mental issues. Some kind of diagnosis can be applied to them. You shouldn't feel stigmatized.
No.
It's essentially the norm in this fucked up society where a lot of people have really fucked up childhoods as well.
Yeah, we all have trauma.
Yeah.
None of us have escaped that.
We do. There's no shame in going to a therapist. There's no shame in seeking mental health support and help.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to try to do it all on your own. Just like if you were bleeding or you broke your arm, you would go to the ER and find a doctor. If you have mental injuries or illnesses, you need to find a doctor for that too to help you.
Right.
Or some kind of practitioner, maybe not within the traditional psychological model, because there's a lot of problems with that, but somebody who can help and support you, a professional who knows more about this than you do on your trying to figure it out on your own, is always helpful.
Yep.
So anyway, there's no shame in seeking help, and it's something that you should do. It'll make things better. So okay, so he's saying that his wife's got some issues, so does he. They've kind of avoided getting into those issues by having roommates and having friends and family visit for extended periods of time and live with them. But right now, there's nobody living with him, and so the issues are coming out to the fore a little bit more. They're not getting help, or she's not getting help. What does he do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can start off, or if you want to start off.
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, the first thing I would say is that, because you brought this up, Stephanie. I mean, we all have some of us it's incredibly severe. For some of us it's all debilitating. These mental whatever the mental issues are, and certainly and only not everyone can understand what everyone else is going through. Like, I mean, there's really, like, that's impossible, actually, to know what any other individual is really going through, okay? Because we're not all connected, man. But with that said, you know, like you said, Stephanie, there's a stigma around this sort of thing.
Yeah.
There's a stigma around even being willing to admit it, you know, and let alone the stigma of, you know, the shame, perhaps, that society puts on you for doing something about it even. Like, you know,
Right.
no, you should just be tough and you don't need therapists and you don't need this and blah, blah, blah. I think one of the easiest ways to get past that is, and it's not, but it's still not easy, is to go through it together. Like, now, I mean, there's a lot of courses now, you know, honestly, thanks to the internet. I don't like to thank the internet often, but thanks to the internet, you know, there's a lot of therapy, you know, like resources. I mean, you can take courses online and all this stuff. You don't even have to leave your house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Which is good, because in that sense, it's good because that means you're in a safe area where the person is already comfortable. All right.
You can talk to a therapist online without leaving your house. You can do you can find cognitive behavioral therapists.
Yep. EMDR.
Well, EMDR, you have to go to an office.
You do have to go to an office for EMDR.
It
Okay.
involves physical devices.
Yes, good point. Okay, sorry,
guidance.
yes.
However, if you do want to work with a therapist in person, which some people really do and need that and want that, go to Psychology Today. They have a section on their website that says, like, find a therapist. And you can look for therapists in your zip code. You can sort by their specialty. You can sort by their credentials. You can sort by whether they're LGBTQ friendly. You know, you can sort by whether they're willing to do video or Skype sessions or phone sessions.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of criteria that'll let you amass very easily at your fingertips, amass a list of therapists that you can then interview and see if you're a good fit with them in your area or not.
Yeah, but either way, be it at home or finding somebody in your area, if it's something you're wanting to go through together, and thus kind of saying, look, I know I have issues too, let's do this, you know, like, you're not shaming them.
Yeah.
You're actually, like, you're supporting them, and you're going through this with them.
Yeah.
And they don't have to feel alone in what they're going through. And so if you can start off with some, like, online therapy courses of some kind, you know, be it with a therapist or whatever it ends up taking shape as, okay, I think that can be a great way to get the ball rolling, to get it started, is by doing it together. And again, making sure that person doesn't necessarily feel like there's something, if there's something wrong, it's not just them. They are not alone.
Right. Instead of you need to go to a therapist, it's why don't we go to a therapist together? Yeah.
Right. And that's just that. I think that's one of the only things I can really think of how to get somebody who's so abstinent about not doing it to do it, is just to make sure that they're not feeling shamed, criticized, ridiculed, or anything like that, and that you're with them all the way, you know, on it. And that but you got to go through it too. You got to, you know, whether you think you need it or not, you got to go through it too. You know, and believe me, I really don't believe that there's such a thing as too much therapy. Like, everybody, you know, could do well to get, you know, to spend more time, at least in the process of therapy. You know, even if maybe you don't necessarily get something out of it, I think you can always get something out of it regardless. And really be present with them and really converse, like, what did you get out of it? Then what did they get out of it? You got to be a part of it all the way. There can't be a part where, hey, I'm doing this for you. Hey, you know, what did you get out of it? And then you don't share anything. I mean, you can't, it's got to be really, really conjoined. So that's what I've got as far as a recommendation goes. What do you got, Stephanie?
Yeah, I agree with your recommendation. I think, like, one thing that might also be helpful, maybe even before you suggest what direction to go with therapy together or individually, is reading a little bit more about BPD, a borderline personality disorder.
Sure.
There are a couple of books, and I'm sorry I can't remember the names, and I'm driving, so I can't look them up. But look for popular books on Amazon and read some reviews and find the best ones. I'm sure you can handle that yourself. about borderline personality disorder and read about it, because I know several people who have had who have had people with BPD in their families, and they didn't know it until they read these books. And reading the books was extremely helpful for them. There is kind of there are specific characteristics that people have when they have borderline personality disorder.
Sure.
And there's specific ways to deal with them, basically.
Right.
Not trying to say that they're like a thing that has to be dealt with. They're a person, but there's ways that can make it easier to interact with them, especially when they're having issues or they're having a difficult time functioning or whatever.
Yeah.
And recognizing the patterns. So I would suggest educating yourself a little bit about it. Borderline personality disorder is a pretty stigmatized, I guess, diagnosis, and there's always a danger with that. Like labeling someone as, oh, they're borderline, that means they're going to be really difficult to live with and deal with for forever, and there's no cure, basically. But I don't know, keep an open mind. Like, maybe she was misdiagnosed. Maybe she has it, but she's still your wife and you still love her, and you're going to work it out no matter what. You just want to understand what's going on a little bit better so that you can support her. You can read it with that mindset instead of, oh, this person's fucked up, how do I handle them?
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah, so, I think all that, I agree with all that as well. Is there anything else you want to add on with that?
Well, I guess this is the problem with questions, because we can't really ask follow-ups, but
yeah, I
guess I wonder what they meant by the question. What did the question asker mean when they said that their wife has an episode? Like, does that mean she did something violent? Does that mean she yelled at the guest? Does that mean she stayed in bed for 3 days? What does that mean she had an episode? And if it is physical violence, or self-harm, like suicide attempts, self-mutilation, stuff like that, then it's kind of like, okay, you got to bring in the big guns. Like, this person might need to be hospitalized or something, or they need some kind of serious help before they end up hurting themselves or someone else. And if there's a good indication that they are starting to hurt themselves or someone else, then it's really a crisis situation. It's not just something that you can kind of get to at some point, addressing. It's like, this needs attention right the fuck now. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I guess I wonder what that meant. But, I mean, you have to use your judgment on that. Yeah. And you want to feel safe in your own home, Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, too, like, in your own, like, say it does get violent, like, if there's so many unconscious cues that we give off as humans, and if you if you don't feel safe, like, that's not helping the situation either. I mean, like, that's the thing, is that one of the best ways to heal is for people to feel like they're in a safe environment. Yeah. I mean, you can't always provide that, but you really, it's certainly number one thing you want to strive for. So if the environment isn't safe, I mean, therapy is going to be, that much harder to even, or, resolving this is going to be that much harder. So, yeah, you might want to, the professionals might really need to, quote unquote, come in, Yeah. I mean, it's really hard to deal with, So, yeah, but tough question. I mean, it's a tough situation because there's so many variables, and especially, I mean, certainly, the guy even said she has great traits, and that's the thing, is that so many of these people can have so many wonderful things about them, and yeah, but that's what makes it worthwhile to get through this, and to hopefully, resolve it. Absolutely. Yeah. Or it sounds like you care about her a lot, and you don't want to just divorce her or give up or something like that.
Yeah.
You want to find a solution so that you can keep living together and being happy.
Yeah.
And I agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, anything else to add on that, Stephanie?
just good luck. Let us know how it goes. Hopefully some of those resources are helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, let's change it up and get into something a little lighter, I think. And, we'll end this off with that. And the question is, and this is a short one, Stephanie. So it's directed at you, Stephanie.
Oh, my.
How
flattered.
Stephanie, how can I become an quote-unquote exceptional man like Brian Sovryn?
Oh,
now,
great question.
All right. Now let me little preface here. So on last month's, I think it was, last month's Relationship Rhombus, there was a conversation about relationship triads.
Mm-hmm.
And in that, you said, it was your words, you said, that's why I'm guessing they put it in quotes, you said I was an exceptional man.
Yeah.
Okay. And so then, and then, we went on, and I'm sure people heard the episode, but we went on to say that, or your bottom line being was that the exceptional men are the ones that should get the women, and it doesn't just have to be one woman. It could be, a multitude at the same time or whatever, or, whatever that takes shape as. So maybe that's what this person's interested in. I don't know. But regardless, how can this, and I'm guessing it's a guy because they want to be a man, or, maybe it's some kind of Z. But how can they be an exceptional man like Brian Sovryn?
Well, that question doesn't have a simple answer. And, but first of all, I think it's great that you're asking this question.
And that you ask Stephanie, I'll tell you that. Don't ask me, ask the ladies. But anyway, yeah,
that's smart. That's smart.
I agree.
So, yeah, what do I look for in an exceptional man? So, let me just tell you, there's more than one way to be an exceptional man or an exceptional woman. This is something I had to learn really early on. There's not just one path to being an exceptional person. There's many, many paths. However, they all share some stuff in common. You got to have your mental and emotional health in order to a very high level, which means you have to be on top of your shit, be organized, have a way of making money, supporting yourself financially.
Yep.
You don't have to be a billionaire or even a millionaire, but you have to have have the ability to take care of yourself with a little extra resources left over to be able to share with someone else and have fun. And realize, attitudes about money, it's a tool that enables you to do fun things in life. Beyond a certain point, it doesn't make much impact. More of it doesn't make you that much happier. However, not having to stress about it and being able to have enough of it in order to do all the things you want in life is an important thing to work towards.
Sure. How many relationships end because of money issues? You know, it's probably the most common thing.
Yeah. You gotta have communication skills. Communication and listening is a huge deal. And for many men, just culturally, whatever, many men have a lot of trouble listening, especially really listening to women and caring what they say. And that means reflecting back what they say, making sure you understand, asking questions, empathizing. Oh, I imagine that must feel really frustrating or whatever, guessing at their feelings, basically. Listening is a huge thing. A lot of men are egotistical and arrogant, and so often that's just compensating for feeling insecure inside. When tough guys feel insecure, they try to look more tough. And you gotta leave the ego at the door. You gotta realize that you're a human being and that you can always get better and that you can always improve. You are not the best version of yourself, but you're trying to become it. And it's a journey, not a destination. And you are not the best. You still have work to do. You can get better. That's another thing. So there's the listening. And listening is, I think, part of that humbleness or humility. Listening to women especially, because women don't get listened to very often in society. And if you listen to a woman, you are giving her something rare. If you tell a beautiful woman she's beautiful, you're not giving her anything special. Guys tell her she's beautiful all the fucking time. She's heard that 1,000 times before, and it's not very special. But if you actually listen to what she's saying, ask her questions about it, show a genuine interest, that is giving her something rare and special. So exceptional men, I think listening is a huge part of it.
Yeah, I'm just going to interject quick in that a great way to learn to listen is to have this default notion that society shits on women and is harder on women by leaps and bounds.
Yep.
Pretty much at all times.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's just part of empathy, realizing what it's like to walk in a woman's shoes. And if you don't know what it's like, asking questions about it and not making assumptions.
Yeah.
And not thinking that you have it worse as a man than women do.
Yeah, I mean, folks, this is relationships, not family court. Okay, give me a fucking break. Like, I don't even want to hear it.
Yeah.
Just go with that baseline and have that understanding, and I think that will empower you and inspire you to want to listen more and understand more, what's going on, for that person.
Now, communication is another one. Being able to express yourself honestly and clearly. Being able to talk about your feelings. That's a hard one for a lot of men, because men aren't generally taught that they need to talk about their feelings.
Yeah, you're only allowed to be angry.
Yeah, the only feelings you're allowed to express are anger. And anything else isn't manly. Well, guess what? It is okay to express your feelings, and actually that's another rare gift that you can give a woman is you being able to communicate clearly and honestly about your own feelings without her having to do a lot of emotional work to try to draw them out of you, which is what a lot of women are taught to do and what they end up doing for men. Not just their boyfriends either, but all men. Being a feminist, picking up the slack on that emotional labor, picking up the slack on domestic labor, too. If you have a domestic partner who's a woman, realize that by default, she's expected to do most of the work, taking care of the household, keeping things clean, child care, elder care, preparing food, organizing plans, coordinating things.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, I have, we're going to have a little siren going by. Don't worry, we're not getting pulled over. It's a fire truck. So, yeah, I mean, I have my pretty pink vacuum that I use regularly, and I love doing so. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, pick up that slack. And
yeah, be thinking about what can I do to make her life easier, better.
Yeah.
That's how you can be exceptional, is really offering something that makes her life significantly easier and better. And to do that, you have to understand what the problems are that make her life worse and more difficult. And that starts with feminism.
Sure.
Now, another thing you need to do is you got to get your physical health in order. And I'm not saying you have to be an Adonis or a Greek god, but you have to send a message to yourself and everyone else that, hey, I've only got this one body. I'm going to take good care of it. I value myself. And because I'm valuable. And you have to believe that you really are valuable. And when you strive for fitness, it's not even about looks. It's about wanting your body to last for a long time, wanting to be around, into the future, to be able to enjoy the things that life has to offer, and to have the happiest life you can by having a healthy physical body.
Yeah, I think this is part of those unconscious cues, and I'll just caveat in saying, everybody's what their best physical self looks like varies, by the individual, right? And can vary by opinion to some degree, I suppose. But there are unconscious signals where you show that you take care of yourself. That sends off, confidence and other things that that a person that a gal is going to pick up on, and that they're going to look for to find that exceptional man. Yeah. And so being concerned about your physical health and and all that and how your body looks and whatever. I think that's a major player.
it's not just about how your body looks, it's about how your body feels.
Yeah, right.
And what I was going to say is that this all ties in with self-awareness. If you have a good sense of self-awareness, it's going to go into every area of your life. You will be more aware of how you feel, for example, when you eat certain foods, or how you feel when you do certain lifestyle things, and you will try to maximize feeling good. But in order to maximize feeling good, you have to be in touch with yourself enough to know how you feel and what affects that. Self-awareness goes into relationships too. Knowing when you're talking too much instead of listening. Knowing when your partner's upset about something, picking up on subtle cues that she doesn't have to say explicitly. Self-awareness, being aware of the space that you're taking up in the world. And are you leaving your shit everywhere? Are you being a messy pig?
Right.
Are you doing something during sex that's hurting her because you're more focused on your own pleasure than her pleasure? Are you even paying enough attention to her pleasure? Because she won't, women are conditioned not to really push on that, to ask for it. Whereas men are taught that they always come first. And so are you being mindful of closing that orgasm gap? And it's hard to develop that self-awareness. Part of it comes with age, but part of it comes with work. You can get to an advanced age and not have done enough work to develop the self-awareness to be exceptional. So, self-awareness is extremely important.
Sure. I mean, I'll add in quick on that. Look, guys, as far as the, not concentrating on your pleasure, we've talked about this in previous episodes of Sovryn Tech all the time. You're going to come, guys. Give me a break. You're going to come. Don't worry about it. And if you need to, you can come later. Please, pay attention to the lady. All right. So anyway, what else you got, Stephanie?
Yeah. Well, I lost my train of thought now, but the self-awareness is extremely important. Do everything you can to cultivate self-awareness. Part of that is being open to feedback too. A lot of guys don't want to hear feedback because they don't want to be told that they're doing something wrong. And they don't want to have to change anything, and they don't want to have to improve. But an exceptional guy wants to hear feedback because he wants to know what he can do to get better. He wants to improve. Or a woman too. Like I hate to put this in gendered terms and just talk about men. I think all of this can go for women too, but women just generally don't have a lot of problems with listening or not picking up the slack on household tasks. In fact, they're often the opposite. Self-awareness, general, and asking for feedback, generally not that much of a problem for women as it is for a lot of guys. So, I mean, a lot of it just comes down to being the best person that you can be, but also being humble and always being open to improvement and trying to better yourself. Doing everything you can to make yourself a more attractive partner, listening to other people, asking other people, which you did with this question, how you can be a better partner, and taking that to heart.
Yeah, bettering yourself, not competing with others. Mm-hmm. You're really... It's
not a competition. It's
you're the only
best
metric.
Version of yourself you can be.
Right, you're the only metric, and it's just improving you. Your goal should not be, can I be better than this guy? It's nice to be inspired by other people, honestly, like The Rock inspires the fuck out of me, you know what I mean? And and I look at him as kind of as a bit of a measuring stick, but I also know, I also think very highly of myself, honestly, and I don't feel like I'm a lesser man, or something like that compared to somebody that inspires me in that way. So sure, yeah, absolutely.
The last thing I would add is having a abundance mindset instead of a scarcity mindset. So basically, don't be desperate.
Yeah.
There is room for a lot more exceptional men in this world.
Yep.
Not a lot of them are exceptional,
That's why there's room.
Exactly. So, be the best version of yourself that you can be, and there is plenty of resources that you'll attract and get. Like, if you're really trying to be better, you don't need to worry about all the good women being taken up by other guys or something like that. You don't need to be worried about, women are just attracted to assholes. Okay, well then don't be an asshole, and you don't want those women. You want women who are attracted to a person who tries to better themselves, and that's you. So what's the problem? you know. If you like somebody and it doesn't work out, she doesn't return your affections, she doesn't see it for whatever reason, okay, move on. There's plenty of others out there. You know, you don't need to be obsessed with one person or think that one person is the key to meeting all your needs or the solution. You know, there's plenty of fish in the sea, as the old saying goes. You don't need to feel desperate. And if you have that mindset of there are plenty of fish in the sea and there are plenty of people out there, it's gonna show through. You know, it's not gonna creep women out because you won't be laser focused on that one woman when she doesn't like you. You know.
Yeah, right on. So, all right. Well, I hear all that, and I didn't hear anything that raised any red flags for me as far as like I heard something that I didn't like or whatever. I think that all sounded like solid advice. So anyway, why don't we wrap this up?
Yeah. Good luck out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Get your
everybody.
Relationship questions in for the Relationship Rhombus.
Yeah, we'll have another one for June. So we'll wrap this baby up, and I'll see. Thank you, Stephanie, of course, as always, for being such a large part of Sovryn Tech. Not just the show, but over the years. I will see all of you on the other side.